So look, this Dame Westbrook thing has become really fun, right? You've got two of the more temperamental, aggressive, elite guards in the league who the beef has steadily grown over the years. Let's take a look, 2016, how it started, right? You know, Westbrook kicks the ball away from Dame and the two exchange pleasantries here in Portland. Now, you know, Russ treats pretty much everybody the same. He's an equal opportunist, right? So this is where the first dust-up took place. Now, we'll fast forward to All-Star Game selections. Unbelievable. I think it's just outrageous, in my opinion. I don't know who else made the team, but you got 4 people from one team. You've got guys complaining about getting snubbed until they get in. I'm gonna let y'all finish it. And yeah, that's how Russ talks. So Dame's response was, I respect Russ a lot, so it was kind of disappointing to see him say that because he played against me. He played against our team. He knows what I do. Anyway, y'all can finish the quotes. You get what I'm saying. They exchanged shots in the media, and then we can fast forward to earlier this season. The two went at it. While at the free throw line, Russ let Dame know, I've been busting your ass for years, boy. So, you know, this back and forth leads us into last night, the Rose Garden, the teams sharing identical records. And we're going to skip ahead here to late in the second half. And it's Nurkic with the Euro trip. Now you say, oh, did he do it or not? I want you to watch how his leg on the second replay swings back into his normal gait. That's what lets you know. Watch when he brings his leg back. You see how he has to bring it back into his normal gait? He tripped him. It's a little Euro trip, a little slyness. And you know what? I'm with the shits. If I'm a coach or a teammate of Russ, I like what he did. I'm with the shits. You have to respond to that and let him know, like, yo, I'm not about that. You can't do that. So the game was back and forth all night. Second half, I think Dame's done a better job this season as far as pacing himself throughout games. He tries to get others involved early on, and then you see him rev his engine up as the game goes on. But this was a duel, man, and it was kind of crazy to see Westbrook. His competitiveness was just willing the ball in the basket from outside. He was shooting much better than you normally see from three-point range just because of the competitive juices going against Dame is what I think. PG back from the shoulder soreness, and I didn't like what they had to say about it. They said he was experiencing weakness and tightness when he raised his arm above his head. That's his shooting arm, but he still had himself a night. Westbrook out in transition. Like I said, these two went blow for blow all night long. Russ playing below the rim a little more this season. That's just nasty, Dame. Don't do it to him like that, Dame. On his way to another 50-point night. Here we are, 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Russ gets all the way left, and it's Steven Adams with the tip in. Nurkic and Adams were throwing bodies. It was physical. And Dame, the degree of difficulty, it's amazing to watch him do it, but you just question, is it sustainable, particularly in the playoffs? Now, it looked like Paul may have gotten away with the travel there, but on the replay, it's his right heel that catches his toe, and he kind of gets hung up here, so it's not a travel. But you see him crack Nurkic in the jaw. It was completely inadvertent. There's the little quick concussion protocol. A possession or two later, it's Nurkic, extracurriculars on Paul George. He wants to get his money back on that. He throws a loose elbow. And I also like how PG, so Russ and Nurk got into it early in the game. PG has his back, right? Like, I think he was a little extra with Nurkic because of what had happened earlier in the game. But unfortunately for Portland, Nurkic was out of there. That's what Westbrook realizes, right? Because he had already picked up the tee earlier on, tripping Westbrook, which was the right call. And I want to credit the refs because they don't usually catch that type of stuff. Here's the free throw, and they're going to call a foul on Morris, sending Amino to the line and tying the game with just under 3 seconds. It was, I don't know about it. It was a bang-bang call. Westbrook dribbles the ball, unforced turnover on the next possession. You can see there's just no excuse for that. Ball security is a problem with Russ. Maybe should have been in Paul George's hands. One last look at it for Lillard. Time can't quite get it to go just a bit right, and we're headed into overtime with these two. Dame, these two were exchanging glares and taunts all game long on his way to a 51-point performance. But would it be enough against this Thunder team? Look at Russ just willing the ball in the basket like would not take no for an answer. CJ gets to a spot, but Tony Ferguson Several big plays down the stretch from the young wing for OKC. It's Westbrook out in transition, and the Thunder get it done in Portland, moving ahead in the West. Man, I don't know about y'all, man, but I'm enjoying the hell out of that series and that matchup between these two. They share similar characteristics, right? Their wills, their competitiveness, their toughness, and their mentality are kind of similar, right? Yet they get it done in different ways. And it was a great game. It was a great game. I kind of wanted Portland to pull it out. Not sure why, but I found myself kind of wanting Portland to pull it out. I guess I like Dame better than Russ, being a Bay Area product, you feel me? I guess at halftime, did you hear? So Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley, and you could tell it was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It was a little bit to kind of just stir things up and be different, but they went out on a limb and said the Portland Trailblazers are coming out of the Western Conference. And then Reggie Miller, being Reggie Miller, was quick to check them, right? He was doing the telecast with Kevin Harlan, and he was like, whoa, 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 right? You know, and so he kind of made them backtrack a little bit, right? And the reason being was they really are putting a lot of weight on the additions of Rodney Hood and Enes Kanter. Now, I personally would put more stock in the way that Jake Layman's playing, right? And Seth Curry, and maybe some of the development of the guys they've already had there. And look, Rodney Hood, can he be dependable when you need him? When he refused to go in a game for Ty Lue, and remember when the Cavs acquired him in that playoff run a year ago and he refused to, that's a red flag for me that he may not always be prepared to give you what you need. You know, the lefty, he's a streaky guy, but yeah, there is a world where he goes off and he becomes a factor in a playoff series, in a playoff game off the bench, right? Now, Enes Kanter, yeah, he's a guaranteed offensive threat right off the bench, gets buckets, and it's baffling to me how he can be so athletic and agile on one end of the floor, and then you watch him defensively. And so I was really trying to watch what makes him such a poor defender. And with Kanter, it's almost like he's everywhere, so really he's nowhere. And what I mean by that is like he's overreactive. He moves too much. When you watch him in the paint, he's caught in between. He gets caught in no man's land a lot. And then all of a sudden he's caught in deciding, should I help? Am I here? Am I there? Right? It's like too much movement. And so that's kind of my diagnosis with Kanter, because you look at his profile of a player. He's athletic for his size. He has a high motor, and the want is there. So what's wrong with it? You know, some of it's basketball IQ, but again, he gets caught in between. You've got to be decisive. You've got to commit at some point. You can't half step defensively, because then again, you end up nowhere. And that's kind of Kanter's problem, right? What other takeaways? You know, it was well documented early in the season that CJ McCollum, he started off rough. He started off slow. And you look at his three-point percentage now, particularly from behind the line, and it's up to like 30, I want to say, don't quote me on this, 37%. It's in the mid-30s. It's creeping up there, 36, 37%. Now, in previous years, he shot as high as 40, 41% almost. But I think the difference is, one, he slumped early in the year, and you're seeing him take more off the dribble threes. And big picture, I'm all right with that in his game. I'm confident that he can continue to shoot it better. And then it opens up things. Because what it does is, as a defender, it puts a lot of pressure on you, because you know in the scouting report, he wants to get to right below the free throw line, right? He wants to hit you with that step back and that soft, high floater from the mid-range. But when he can pull up from three off the dribble, it makes you get up on your toes, and it makes it easier for him to get to that spot ultimately. Again, I mentioned this in the clip a little bit, that what they're reporting from Paul George is a little bit concerning if you're a Thunder fan, right? He looked good. He put up big numbers. He hit the floor way too much for my taste when you consider that he's coming back from shoulder soreness. But again, reporting that he's having weakness and tightness in his shooting arm when it's extended. That's like the worst thing you want to hear for a shooter. And I got to thinking like, yo, how did this happen? And it's easy to see how he could damage his shoulder. One, because he loves throwing those tomahawks down. I don't know if you've paid attention this season. I've pointed out a few times, but the dude gets busy with the tomahawks. He putting a little extra sauce on that. So I don't know. I don't know, you dunkers know sometimes when you cock back and the rim doesn't give any give to it, that's where you feel it vibrate all the way down your arm and into your shoulder. And, that, I don't know if it was that, but the other thing is if you watch how he plays and how he plays defensively, he's reaching, he's leaning, he's using that length, he's digging into passing lanes. And then offensively, I thought you could see him favoring it a little bit. He was doing a lot more two-footed planting and using the left shoulder to create contact and then finishing and dishing rather than scooping and trying to spike and finish with that right arm and that right shoulder. So that's something to monitor going forward. What else do I have from this? Let's see here. I guess another thing from OKC, a takeaway I have in watching this was Westbrook and Dame. And, it was a battle, man. It was a battle. But one thing that I noticed was Dame, one thing that I noticed also with Westbrook, and I'm watching him defensively and that high pick and roll action they ran relentlessly when Dame really started to go off. And I had mentioned, I'm sending a hard trap at Dame every time down the stretch of games. Like he's gotten better at distributing, getting guys involved, but his instincts, his natural instincts at the end of games is to get his shot and take over. And so you saw Donovan do it late in these situations. I'm sending a hard trap, or I'm having my big show hard and trap every time in those pick and roll scenarios because I want Dame. I'm going to challenge him to go against his instincts and make the quick pass. Right? And so you saw that strategy play out. One thing I noticed with Westbrook is it's no secret there's not a lot of finesse to his game, right? And a part of that is amazing to watch him and his physicality and his downhill attacking. But where it shows up and it hurts him is fighting over screens or fighting under screens, right? He has no finesse. You hear the term get skinny, or your ability to get through, slide through, wiggle through screens. Russ he's really lacking in that area. It almost feels like he thinks he can just go through screens. And it's that same aggression and bullishness that he plays with offensively that makes him so good. Defensively, it hurts him. It's like sometimes you got to get skinny. You've got to yield to the screener. Make your, tilt your hips, and get by. And Russ, it's just like he slams into these screeners and then he dies on the pick and roll action. And another part of that is him not anticipating the screen. I think he gets so locked in to the matchup, especially going up against a guy like Dame. He's not even conscious that a screen's coming, and that's basketball IQ. But if these two happen to meet in the playoffs, the standings are changing every day as OKC moves up a game on them now. We're going to have fireworks. We're going to have a lot of fireworks. You saw the physicality of this game, the technicals, the flagrants, and all that stuff. So I look forward to it. Who do y'all got? Warrior fans, I'm going to speak to y'all because, it is what it is. I know I picked in my threat to the throne. OKC is the number one threat, right? And everybody has to stay healthy. Let's consider everybody stays healthy. But where do you put Portland? Shout out my guy who pointed it out. I didn't mention them, right? And I think a part of it is, and a lot of us look at them like how they've performed in the playoffs in years past. They've been a disappointment. Let's be honest here. But quietly, this roster has changed. The addition of Seth Curry. Jake Layman is a very nice player off the bench for them. Obviously, adding Cantor and Hood and Nurkic developing into much more of a presence on both ends of the floor. So where do y'all rank Portland right now as far as, like what Chuck and Kenny said? I don't expect many people to expect them to come out of the West, but they're better than we've seen in years past. Anyway, as always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all. I've been winning so long, it's like